That cozy apartment you're proud of? It's quietly stealing your future. And I'm about to show you exactly how much it's costing you. Not just in rent, but in lost wealth that could have made you financially free by 40. Most people think renting is the safe choice. Low risk, no maintenance headaches. Just pay your monthly bill and enjoy your freedom. But what they didn't tell you is that your safe apartment is making you broke. I'm going to tell you about two guys I know personally. Both started with the same salary at 25. One stayed in his comfortable apartment for 10 years, always talking about saving up to buy someday. The other took the uncomfortable path and house-hacked his way to financial freedom. Today, one owns 4 properties and makes $8,000 a month in passive income. The other? He's still renting, still complaining about rent increases, still planning to buy next year. See, there's a trap hidden in that lease agreement, a slow financial drain masked as stability. And by the time most people figure it out, they're in their 30s or 40s, wondering why they're still living paycheck to paycheck despite making decent money. Let's break this down. Renting isn't evil. But calling it a financial strategy, that's where the problem starts. When you rent, you're paying for someone else's wealth. Every rent check you write is building equity, just not yours. It's like watering someone else's garden while your own lawn turns brown. And before you comment, "But I'm not ready to buy," hold up. That's exactly the mindset that keeps you trapped. You're not ready because you've been programmed to think you're not ready. Let me show you how that programming is costing you everything. The worst part? Most renters don't even realize they're stuck in a loop. You rent because it's flexible, because buying seems scary, because everyone else is doing it. And little by little, year by year, you lose the one thing you can't get back: time. Let's do some basic math that'll make you sick. If you pay $1,800 a month in rent, and that's conservative in most cities, that's over $21,000 a year. Multiply that by 5 years, $105,000. Gone. And you walk away with nothing but memories and maybe a security deposit if your landlord is feeling generous. You know what's hilarious? People who spend $100,000 on rent in 5 years then say they can't afford a $20,000 down payment. Math isn't your strong suit, is it? Now imagine instead of renting, you had taken that same amount and invested it in a starter home. Maybe it's not your dream house. Maybe it's not in the trendiest zip code, but it's yours. Every payment builds equity. Every upgrade adds value. And 5 years later, you're sitting on an asset, not an expense. Here's the lie they've been feeding you. People say buying a house is risky. But in reality, staying a renter forever is even riskier. You have no control over your rent going up. No say if the landlord sells the property. No long-term wealth being built. Rent is like a treadmill. You're moving fast, sweating hard, but you're not going anywhere. Ownership? That's a staircase. Slower at first, maybe painful, but each step moves you closer to financial freedom. Remember those two guys I mentioned? Here's where they diverged. At 25, both were paying $1,500 in rent. Guy A stayed comfortable, upgraded to a nicer place when he got raises. Guy B moved back with his parents for 8 months, saved every penny, and bought a duplex. Guy B lived in one unit, rented out the other for $100 to $200. His housing cost? $300 a month. Guy A's rent? Up to $2,100 by year 3. Now I hear the arguments. Not everyone can afford to buy. Fair. But here's the twist. Most people who say that haven't even run the numbers. They assume they can't. They never look into first-time buyer programs. They never cut their expenses. They never improve their credit. Because deep down, they've been conditioned to believe they don't deserve ownership. That's the real trap, the psychological one. You've been trained to see yourself as a tenant, not a builder, not a landlord, not an owner. So when the idea of buying comes up, your instinct is fear, not curiosity. But ask yourself, who benefits when you stay a renter for life? Banks, landlords, developers, people who own the buildings. They get rich off your fear. If your rent goes up 5% each year, and that's modest, you're paying 30% more within 6 years. Your income might not go up at that rate. Now you're working more hours just to stay in the same place. That's not freedom. That's entrapment with good lighting and granite countertops. Here's another trap that kills wealth: lifestyle creep. You get a raise, so you upgrade apartments, nicer building, closer to downtown, better view. But your savings? Still at zero. Your wealth? Still outsourced. Your future? Still owned by your landlord. Now let's talk strategy. Because this isn't about shaming renters. It's about waking up and getting out of survival mode. Start with a mindset shift. You are allowed to own. You are allowed to build. You are allowed to think bigger than leases and rent hikes. Second, get your financial house in order. Track your spending. Kill unnecessary subscriptions. Increase your income. Side hustle, negotiate a raise, sell something. Every dollar matters when you're building escape velocity. Third, improve your credit. That 3-digit number has more power than you think. Pay your bills on time, keep your balances low, and if you don't know your credit score, that's step 1. Fourth, study the market. Find cities or neighborhoods where property values are still accessible. You don't need to live in Manhattan. Maybe your first property is in a smaller town. Maybe you rent where you live, but buy where it makes sense. Because here's the secret of wealthy people. They don't always live in their assets. They use their assets to fund their lives. Imagine buying a small property and renting it out while you stay in your affordable apartment. Now your rent is covered by someone else's. Or imagine house hacking. You buy a duplex, live in one unit, rent out the other. Now you're not just a tenant, you're a landlord. This isn't fantasy, it's strategy. And the only thing standing between you and it is action. And for those who say, I'm not ready, you never will be if you don't start. Ownership is a muscle. You build it by lifting, not by waiting. Every month you delay is another month your landlord gets richer while you get broker. Now let's look 10 years into the future. Path A, you stay in your apartment. Rent goes from $1,800 to $20,300. You change jobs a few times, maybe save a little. But when your lease ends, you have nothing to show for it but higher bills and a few coffee shop loyalty cards. Path B, you take the hit, move in with family or roommates, save like hell for 18 months, buy a property. Now you're paying yourself. And in 10 years, you've got equity, leverage. Maybe you're buying a second property. Maybe you're helping your kids do the same. Back to those two guys. Guy A, the comfortable renter, has paid over $240,000 in rent over 10 years. His net worth from housing? Zero. Guy B, the house hacker, has $180,000 in equity across his properties, plus $8,000 monthly in rental income. Same starting point, different mindset. So what's it going to be? The illusion of stability or the foundation of wealth? Let me tell you something uncomfortable. Your landlord is investing with your money. Every month, you help him build wealth. And if you keep renting forever, you're just funding someone else's future while sacrificing your own. Renting is a season, not a strategy. Treat it like one. Use it while you need it, but don't get stuck there. Don't romanticize it. Don't let comfort cost you everything. Ownership requires sacrifice, but so does regret. You'll either pay the price to grow or pay the price of staying the same. Both have a cost, but only one gives you freedom. So take this as your sign, to stop settling, to stop shrinking, to stop thinking small. Your safe apartment, it's a golden cage, and the door is open. Walk out. This is financial masculinity, where we build wealth, not excuses. Share this with someone who's been planning to buy for the last 5 years. Subscribe if you're ready to own your future, or don't, and keep paying someone else's mortgage. Next week, I'm breaking down the exact house hacking strategy that's helped my clients buy their first property with less than $10,000 down. Don't miss it. Your landlord definitely doesn't want you to see it.